What's up guys, Clearance Aisle back with another Fortnite strategies video. Today we're going over general tips that apply to any late game to help you get your first or next victory royale. Welcome back everybody. Today I've got 7 tips and strategies to increase your chance of winning once you get to the top 20. Let's get right to it. If you want to survive longer in the late game, you need a good loadout. An easy way to get better loot is to take it from your enemies, so be more aggressive in the mid game once players have had a chance to loot and farm materials. If you hear gunfire, run towards it. You will likely catch one or more players weak and vulnerable, a perfect opportunity to strike and loot multiple enemies. Second, push supply drops. Supply drops only drop epic and legendary weapons like scars and sniper rifles, and have a high chance of dropping the explosive weapons you want to take to the end game. They are also a good opportunity to stock up on shields and accessories like jump pads and campfires that can give you the edge in the late game gunfights. There are bush campers in Fortnite, and they are especially prevalent in the late game and small circle situations. To prevent your premature elimination by bush campers, you need to be aware of bushes at all times. Personally, if I'm on the move, I like to run through any nearby bushes with my shotgun out. You can't run through players, so if you run through a bush and get stopped, it means there's a player in there and you can hit them with a quick blast from your shotgun. Most of these players are passive and are hoping that you just run by, or they're waiting for you to stop to engage you. Now, if you're camped out in a base or structure, put a couple rounds in the bushes near you to check for campers, especially if you haven't identified the location of the remaining players. The kill feed can be a place of very valuable information in the late game. Sometimes you can hear or see a gunfight, but you might miss if someone goes down. In addition to knowing that there are fewer players left, the kill feed can tell you how someone was eliminated. If they were eliminated by explosives or long distance snipe, that gives you some indication of your enemy's loadout, skill level, and even playstyle. A lot of the times in the late game, when I've heard a gunfight at the other edge of the circle and I see a kill register in the feed, but I wasn't able to actually see it, I will jump head straight into the area and surprise the player. Fights and encounters happen faster and more often in the late game. Learning how to quickly edit building pieces can help you survive longer. Whether you had to box yourself in to heal and now it's time to move, or you fumbled your building and now you're trapped, editing can gain you precious seconds. The time between storms gets shorter and shorter in the late game. Train yourself to stay hyper aware of the storm status. Start listening for the distinct horn that indicates the storm is moving. Storms also deal way more damage in the late game. You do not want to get caught with your back to a moving storm when you're engaged in a fight. To prevent this, move to the new circle as quickly as you can. You don't need to run to the direct center of the new circle, but if you can, get just inside the circle, find or build some cover, and start carefully peeking for players and engaging when you can. Now that you're well positioned and have a good loadout, it's time to find and define the remaining players. Use audio and visual cues to determine the location of as many remaining players as possible. Once you've got their location, quickly try and assess their playstyle. The first thing to determine is, are they aggressive or passive? For passive enemies, you can be more aggressive. For aggressive enemies, you either need to be more aggressive or you need to keep them at a distance. If an aggressive player starts rushing you, counter by building higher. Once you've determined playstyle, try and figure out who is the biggest threat and who is the most vulnerable. If you've got a passive player camping but they aren't a threat and you don't have an easy or clean shot on them, let them be and focus on a bigger threat. If you've got a skilled player in a base but they're distractive, get aggressive and push them to force a pinch and catch them off guard. Finally, learn when to play it slow and when to push. Let me give you a couple of examples. In a recent game, I found myself in the final fight with a skilled player who had explosives. He had good accuracy and there was some distance between us. My loadout, with plenty of shields and top tier weapons, allowed me to play it slow and wait for an opportunity to strike. In the game playing out now, I was against a player who wasn't a good builder, not very aggressive, and had their back to the storm, so I moved in quick. Use my tips from earlier to figure out your enemy and use that information to your advantage and take control of the fight. Well guys, thanks for watching. I hope these tips are useful for your next game. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.